How many of the quiet ones speak up? I wonder what the percentage is of the introverts that come into social conflict, that constantly battle whether or not they should pick this fight or that. What do you do? Sometimes you're afraid of social conflict when you know you're the more mature one. You're dealing with toddlers and infants. You're the old one among them. And yet you hesitate. You feel bullish. You wonder, how do I tactfully fight this one? How do you combat someone else's insecurities? How is it when you know you're right, you don't become the bully? How do you handle someone with kid gloves when you know you're about to just interact with defensiveness? What do you do with that? How do you interact? Do you wonder how many people wish you would? Only the strong speak up. Think about that. You might hesitate speaking, fearing criticism or ridicule. If you don't speak up, you don't know how many people will side with you. If you know you're morally right, you should do it. The question is tactfully, how do you do it? There are battles in life, and there are tactful ways to fight them. Screaming matches usually aren't the right way. Although raising your voice can sometimes be the tact that is necessary. If you're too mild and meek, you can be misconstrued as weak, which has its own strength, because when you do speak up and you do it in a firm manner, that's where the strength comes in, versus screaming all the time. I have a personal battle to fight, and I'm thinking of exactly what I should say, when really I'll never know until the time comes. What I speak will flow through me as needed. It's important to have a control. It's important to have control of your emotions, but it's also important to allow them to direct your vernacular or your other actions. I try hard to be or fight my own biases when I ask for assistance or advice. I actually ask more than one person, and I will actually ask when I think I might hear what I don't want to hear. Obviously, you still have to respect that person because you're dealing with a philosophy that's not yours. So when trying to seek out the truth, part of that tact is going for those who are respectable. There are people that I don't think like, but respect. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling, so I'm not going to continue much farther, but in recent years, I've kept more and more quiet. There were battles I chose to walk away from. And it's almost like that was a universal test that I chose not to take. And yet here I am, the same test, the same uncomfortable feelings. But I know I'm speaking the truth. I know this is a little veiled or cryptic, but I am speaking the truth about how to play politics, essentially. As this conversation continues, I will divulge details if it's appropriate. I'm not looking to humiliate or accuse until I've had deeper conversation with those who've offended me. Remember, I've spoken in the past about terminating relationships and then regretted later because I felt like I was heavy-handed. I knew I was dealing with an immature soul. And I was heavy-handed, and I walked away because they were less conscious and didn't understand why I should be so offended. That's when you have to be tactful and try hard to remember what it's like to be a young soul you were. I don't want to become the bully when having a conversation that is putting someone in their place because you're dealing with a lack of maturity and actions that are performed out of fear. When it's not fear, it's a sort of power trip. And when you've done something that takes the power, people get frantic and defensive. I realize I keep a small social circle, in part because I think people recognize, even if I don't speak the truth, they understand I see it. You can see the dandruff on my shirt. I've got a lot on my mind. I beat myself up over thinking too deeply. There's only so much you can ask for advice. There's only so much advice you can ask for. You're just going to wind yourself up into confusion, and your advice is going to start to seem repetitive. But I'm confident when I have my battle socially, the universe will align my words in such a way that it will make sense. And I will adhere to my minimalist nature. Speak slowly and sensical. I will pick my words in almost a minimalist nature. I'm going to assume I'm getting paid based on the fewer number of words I choose. My bank will shrink every time I use a word. Does everyone think that makes sense? It's like when you're in sales, if you talk too much, you talk your way out of a job. Well, these are the thoughts that float in my brain. I think I'm done now. Talk to you later.